So, welcome to It's For You on our fifth day of our journey through COP28 as the antidote to COP28. And we call this the antidote to COP28 because there's going to be a lot of noise you're going to hear about the whole process. And those processes are going to take you into a world that you may not feel most comfortable at. But what we have learned throughout our conversations over this period is that there's so many people who are already on this path of recognizing that there's a transformation, recognizing that their own role in it. And fundamental to that, and this is speaking for myself personally, the aspect where we need to find ourselves an anchor in our own space before we can make this journey properly is essential to this. And that's why every day at 2 o'clock, we have this prayer and meditation session. And today, we're really pleased to have Cinzia Vigna, who's from Italy, and as you mentioned before, with all the responsibility and that it carries in that way. And we're going to leave you in the hands of Cinzia to take us through the meditation, and please join us, and please follow her instructions and join us. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. Today, I would like to do with you a meditation that there are lots of people all over the world are doing, because it's a meditation for a new world. It's a meditation for a new time to live. It's a meditation for a new humanity that is already here and that we want to rule the world. So today is the last day of this week as regard these 30 moon calendars. And the last day of the week, it's the day where we pray the 7 galactic direction. So we are doing this together. I am going to say some sentence. Each sentence will be according to a direction in the space. And with every sentence, we will fix a piece of a cube that is going to hug us. We will be, at the end of this first part of the meditation, we will be inside a cube. So we will start with the eastern direction, that is the direction where the sun can rise. I will do it both in Italian and in English. First in Italian, and then I will translate in English. With your hand, you will put your imagination to build the cube all around you. This is the first part of the meditation. Then we will carry on another small journey. So please relax. Take 3 deep breaths to center inside our body. Dall'est, casa della luce, possa la saggezza aprirsi in aurora dentro di noi affinché possiamo vedere tutto con chiarezza. From the east, house of light, may wisdom dawn in us so we may see all things in clarity. Dal nord, casa della notte, possa la saggezza maturare dentro di noi affinché possiamo conoscere tutto dal di dentro. From the north, house of night, may wisdom ripen in us so we may know all from within. Dall'ovest, casa della trasformazione, possa la saggezza trasformarsi in azione corretta affinché possiamo fare ciò che va fatto. From the west, house of transformation, may wisdom be transformed into right action so we may do what must be done. From the south, dal sud, casa della luce eterna. Possano le azioni corrette dare il loro raccolto affinché possiamo godere dei frutti dell'essere planetario. From the South, House of the Eternal Sun, may right action reap the harvest, so we may enjoy the fruits of planetary being. Dall'alto, casa del cielo, dove siedono gli antenati e la gente delle stelle, possa la loro benedizione giungere a noi ora. From above, house of heaven, where star people and ancestors gather, may their blessing come to us now. From below, dal basso, casa della terra, possa la benedizione del cuore cristallo del pianeta benedirci con la sua armonia affinché possiamo por fine a tutte le guerre. From below, house of earth, may the heartbeat of her crystal core bless us with harmonies to end all war. Dal centro, fonte della galassia, che esiste dappertutto nello stesso tempo, possano tutte le creature riconoscersi come luce di amore mutuo. From the center, galactic source, which is everywhere at once, may everything be known as the light of mutual love. Ayum Unabku Eva Maya Emahu. Ayum Unabku Eva Maya Emahu. Ayum Unabku Eva Maya Emahu. All hail the harmony of mind and nature. My mind is one with nature. My mind is one with the planet. Now that we are safe and powerful inside our cube, protected, we can slowly imagine that this cube become a sphere round around us. And now I ask you to join me for a journey inside the center of our planet. We are going to do together 11 breaths. Each breath, inhaling, we will take power. Our sphere will be stronger and powerful. And from our center, when we exhale, we are going down, looking for the center of our planet. We are doing this together. It's possible that you will have images while we are going down. Try to not forget these images because they will be very significant, very meaningful for you. So let's try with our sphere. First, inhale, exhale, and go down. Second, third, if you can, put the breath in your belly. Fourth, always deeper in the heart of our planet. Sixth, seven, 8, 9, 10. We can still see the crystal core of our planet. It's a octaedro, that means like two pyramids, one opposite to the other. And we are about to arrive there. Last breath. And we are there in front of this double-sided pyramid. In my sphere, I feel safe. I look inside the pyramids and there is a very strong, white, warm light. I look at my right and at my left side. I find that all the other peoples are there with me. We are sit down like a circle around this pyramid, everybody looking at this incredible light that is coming from the middle. Feel that there are all the other people on our right and on our left. This light is breathing with us. Now there are much more people around us, behind us. They are all the people around the world that are doing this meditation today. And they are all the people that do this meditation in the last years, every end of the week. Now, from our heart, we start a connection, a direct connection with this light, with this energy. There is some of this light coming straight to our heart, and from our heart going straight to this light in the center of our planet. We are all connected through this light. Let's breathe into this wonderful sensation to be one with all the other people and with the planet. Now, from the center of our heart, there is a rainbow going straight to the center of the planet, and through this point, this rainbow go up to the north pole of the planet and go south to the south pole of the planet. This light is so strong that we do all together, that is going out from the planet, and it's making a circumpolar arch from the north to the south, hugging all the planet with the light of the rainbow. And we are all together doing this. The planet and us are the same. We are in the same position. We are keeping the North Pole up and we are keeping the South Pole down. All these rainbow colors is passing through our spine, is passing through our feet, and we are one with everybody and with the planet. Let's breathe inside this sensation of unity. We are home. Have a look to the others close to us. We will always be here, keeping the energy of the planet in the right position. We will always be here to be in the right position to sustain and heal the planet. Time exists only in the 3D world, not in the space of the spirit. And now we are ready to go out from the planet, follow the light of the rainbow, and find suddenly ourselves with the next breath outside from the planet, looking from the planet from outside. So we are out of the planet, we can see the planet, We can see the rainbow that is hugging the planet on the right side and on the left side. It's the colors that we put in. We can see clearly this image. We can take this image of the planet with the rainbow and we can put this image inside our heart. Because we are going to protect our planet. My mind and the planet is one. And now, slowly, keeping this image in our heart, let's move slowly the hands, let's move slowly our feet, our legs. We are ready to come back to the third world dimension. We are almost ready to open our eyes with calm. And when you will feel ready, open your eyes. Welcome back. Did you see our planet?
Thank you.
Did you see our planet from outside?
I saw very much the image of those two pyramids
Okay.
in that way. I saw that very clearly along in there, and I felt very much that in the breathing, in that connection, and it took a few breaths to get that connection, and that pause at the end on the 11th as you go through. So I was very much feeling those. The words I found the words took me to a space, and it's a different space of the world of the climate challenges and all those things. It's a space of somehow feeling in union and in unity, in that way. So this aspect where you talk of in spirit world, there's no time. The time is in that distinction.
Do you know
It
that? Do you know that our things create reality? The problem at the moment is that humanity is not aware of this fact and how much is deeply affecting everything. The meditation that we did is to create an equilibrium with us humans, our things, and the planet, because the problem of the disequilibrium also in climate change is first about the way we are thinking. This is the first place where we have to act.
Yes, I very much felt. I still feel different now than I did before we started. I felt a greater sense of. Is this more than calmness? It is definitely calmness, but more of a peace. I felt more tension at the beginning, tension at the day. We're on the 5th day. There've been so many things that seems not to fit in, and concerns about how it's going to go forward. And somehow it feels that I like this space where you say in our mind we create the reality, and very often it is kind of like that. We create the panic, we create the tension, we create the stories that makes us feel trapped in them.
You know, the noosphere, that means the space that wrap our earth, and it's a space made by our feelings and our emotion and our thought. It is called noosphere. it is a concept that is not yet inside our culture, but exactly like we speak about the biosphere where we live life, there is also this noosphere where our things are deposited, and they have a direct influence on the 3D physical reality that we are living. And this is a concept that is coming from the past, from the spiritual life, but also from a scientific approach to everything.
Yeah, I think I can appreciate the description. It's different from sort of my world as I am, but I certainly feel very much, as we have heard stories from people and their efforts and everything. There's this part that starts with everybody in sense that is the awareness that is the important part.
Exactly.
The rest comes. It is building that awareness, and that awareness is in the mind. It's so it's not building the physical structures that makes the changes. It's the awareness that we build, and out of that awareness, then the reality comes. I think is a
Exactly.
point that's been echoed
Exactly.
many times. So thank you very much, Cinzia. I personally really appreciate it. I hope other people have too. And I certainly find that, really these moments, these 20 minutes are very important. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Timothy, over to you. And Collins, over to you.
Hello, hello. Hi, David. Hi, Tim.
Where we just learn to the importance of meditation. Okay, great, nice. It was a great session, and I believe that we've all got something from that. And my main takeaway has been, meditation helps us to create an equilibrium between ourselves, our mind, and the planet as well. So it's been a great, interesting session, and yeah, looking forward for more of this as we start on our second session, and that is how we do it. And I want to welcome my colleague Collins to say hi, and as we introduce what we have lined up for you for the second session. Collins, are you there? Okay, as he's joining. So on our lineup today, we have a great presentation by Michael from Kenya, and also who will take us through taking care of the environment by protecting our trees. And also we have some great conversation by Monica, and an interesting conversation that you wouldn't want to miss out. Water for Masai, among many other conversations. So stay put as we sail you through this session, which you're going to we look forward for an interesting. Yes, Collins, how are you?
Fine, Tim, and glad having you today. Just looking forward to an amazing session today. You can hear me. I hope you can hear me clearly from here.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so thank you so much. It's been wonderful as well. Just going through the meditation part of it, and getting to understand the importance of prayer and the meditation in everything. And it's so refreshing to just understand, sparing some time in our daily schedules to pause, to reflect and to understand. Yes, indeed, even the climate discussion is, and the meditation is critical in our journey. So yeah, over to you, Tim.
You're much welcome, Collins. And as I had promised, just to start us off, we're going to engage in a conversation by Michael. It's a recording that I had an interview with him, and it was so incredible to see how the organization, which is called Miti Alliance. Miti is translated in Swahili as trees, so it's trees for Trees Alliance. And they are nurturing young people, young children in schools, to be great ambassadors of taking care of our environment. So let me not preempt everything in the conversation, and allow us listen to it as we learn from it as well. So here it goes. Okay. On our conversation. Good afternoon, good evening to everyone from where you're joining us. This is Timothy Ndegwa, joining you from Nairobi, Kenya. And with me today is Michael Wanyeki, founder and CEO of Miti Alliance. And we are having an engagement with him on our conversation about looking after a common home. So welcome, Mr. Michael, and kindly introduce yourself.
Hi everyone. My name is Michael Wanyeki. I'm the founder of Miti Alliance. And we are a social enterprise set up here in Kenya, and we've been working in about 14 counties, but our main footprint has been in Kiambu, Kajiado, and Nyeri, where we've had extensive impact.
Okay, thank you so much, Michael. And just to start us off, how has it been? Maybe could you share with us some of the projects that you've embarked on, and how has it been executing them?
Okay, so Miti Alliance has focused on specific projects based on our knowledge and learning of what will have significant impact. So Miti Alliance has a schools program, the Miti Schools program, where we go into schools, plant trees, and we also set up orchards for the schools for their food and food security. We also plant indigenous trees in the same schools while we educate the children about the importance of the environment. Why we found this to be impactful is that before we were just having planting activities, and we realized people were not growing the trees. And when we went to schools have an average of 1,000 students or 500, depending on the size of the school. And most of the public schools have sufficient space. So when we thought about it, we were like, you know what, we will spend our time where we are shaping the mindsets of a generation to come after us. And this has been very impactful. We've been to about 220 schools. We've done about 184,000 in those schools, although now we are about 191,000 based on the current numbers. We are yet to update them. But we are not anymore trying to move too fast. What we are trying to do is empower more so that we move faster, more impactful, and very transformational, in a transformational way. So that's one of our key programs. So it has the kitchen gardens, it has an orchard, it has the indigenous trees. Another thing that we do is the Miyawaki forest, which is a technique from Japan, which I am trained in and have been the forest maker here in Kenya. And what that involves, it involves restoring indigenous trees in areas where the native trees have been cut down. So we have set up 3 forests with a partner by the name of Sugi from Sweden. And we are different forest makers from across the world, where we have been sharing insights on how to protect biodiversity, and we have done, our first forest is right here where I am at the Miti Tree Museum in Nyeri County. The other forest is at Woodland Star School in Brackenhurst in Tigoni, Kiambu. And the third forest is at St. Paul's University in Limuru. And why are we doing this is we realize that many of the indigenous trees are going unprotected, cut down, and endangered. So what we have been doing is that we collect seeds, we collect seedlings, and in, say, for example, a meter squared, you have 3 trees: a canopy tree layer, a canopy layer, a tree layer kind of tree, and then a shrub. And what we are trying to do is that you are mimicking a forest and ensuring that in that forest you're restoring it. I wish we had the time, I would have shown you, but it's not so far from here. And the forest that we planted in March 2021, at the moment, the tallest tree is about 13 feet tall. So it has put in a very big change in our in our community. The birds, I'm sure you can hear some. There's quite a range of birds. We have a beehive full of bees that have just come in actually this week on Monday. We also have so many bugs, beetles, butterflies that are in this area. And what we are trying to do is like educate people more about why restoration is critical, why it is important using this method. And the last, I'd say, of the programs that we are doing, we have just started a tree farmers program here in Nyeri County, and we are hoping we will go to Laikipia, Isiolo, Marsabit, and Meru County and Laikipia to plant avocados, plant indigenous trees, to plant timber or wood trees and fodder trees. So we have 105 farmers at the moment, whom we've just planted 1,100 avocados. We've also planted in a local school. Each farmer gets 10 trees, and they also get indigenous trees. They also get fodder, and then timber or wood trees for their homestead to make a woodlot. And why are we doing this? It is because we have realized of the gap that is there when we are saying that we want to do things and then forget that people need economic empowerment. People lack maybe the know-how of how to do agroforestry systems, and that is what we are bringing in this community. So we've just started in a very big way, lucky thanks to partners, and that has allowed us to do it in this rainy season that we have here in Kenya. So overall, those are the programs that we have, and key to it is training. We conduct lots of trainings with the farmers. We also conduct lots of trainings in the schools before doing, and who are like us. Thank you.
You're welcome, and thank you so much, Michael. And as you're speaking, I'm just amazed. I'm just in awe of the numbers you're giving. You know, the number of schools that you've been able to reach, the number of trees that you've been able to, you know, to plant, and even, you know, talk about the success stories of the forest that you've been able to, you know, create and something of the sort. And you've identified two important gaps, which is one, the information gap, where most people are equipped with knowledge about planting trees and not growing trees. And the other gap you've identified is, you know, and then that calls for training. And then the other gap is, you know, taking you know, environmental conservation as just any other activity, and forgetting that, you know, concentrating so much on, you know, trying to conserve the environment and forgetting the economical aspect of it, in the sense that, you know, these people who are taking part into it, they also need to get livelihood. And my question would be, for the first gap, now that you've been able to identify that people ought to understand, how to grow trees, and not only to plant trees, but also to grow trees. So maybe you can share some of insights that you've gotten in that area. Are there are there ways in which people ought to relate with trees better in terms of planting them? We have the indigenous trees, the exotic trees. Do we have enough indigenous trees? Are we at a point where we are at a risk of losing these indigenous trees at the expense of the exotic trees?
Yeah, thanks for that question. I feel that yes, people do not have the knowledge and understanding of the different trees. Some people do, for sure, but the bulk do not have. You find someone cutting maybe 100-year-old tree or a 20-year-old tree just because they want firewood, and maybe they would have done a softwood or a shrub or a fast-growing exotic tree that would have allowed them to safeguard this indigenous tree that possibly gives them medicine, possibly also supports birds, wildlife, whatever. Like there's just something about having the right knowledge on why we are safeguarding some of these very native trees is because they are supporting so much. Possibly they are holding the soil together. You cannot compare a 20-year-old tree and a 5-year-old tree because you've cut a big tree and replaced it with a very young tree. How many, you are maybe 50 or 40. In 20 years, that's when the tree will be the size of the one that you just cut. So we are looking at that. There should be that information. It should be made available. And for us, the gap on how through our education system, through competency-based curriculum, our CBC, where we are going into the schools, talking and meeting with the teachers and parents, and then now embarking the same with the students in the classes. Because if they understand that, hey, this is used for treating wounds, or it is used for treating a certain ailment at home, or it is good for weaver birds, or it is great for bees, for honey. If I don't cut it, I can possibly set up a beehive on the same tree and benefit long term. So food security, economic empowerment. So I think that's the narrative that has not been there. It has been more of let's plant. But what maybe I may add, I feel like we are very far from the sustainable forestry conversation. I feel forests should be left alone, the indigenous forests. They should be left alone. Then so many can be used for sustainable forestry systems. Because if you don't provide the timber, people will go into the forest to cut the 200-year-old, 50-year-old tree to meet the timber demand that is there. I'm sure there's a lot of construction happening here in Kenya and maybe in other countries. And we are seeing that if then Kenyans don't get the timber from Kenya, they will buy from South Sudan, Uganda, Tanzania, and Congo. So why aren't we planning ahead for that? Why are we still only doing the basics? So I feel that those are some of the critical conversations that need to be had. People in the private sector should see it as an investment aspect, and possibly pursue it. They may not reap their profits now, but in 20 years, they'll be selling their timber to the market. So that's my thinking around what I feel can be done with the training, the empowerment, the people getting the knowledge, but also maybe driven from policy perspective, sustainable forestry systems, and then also protecting our indigenous forests across Kenya.
Great, great. Nice nuggets there, Michael. And I must say that I am really impressed by, the niche that you've identified. That is the young people, the young children, if I may use that word, in primary schools. And because, it's easy for them. It's easy for them to, to grasp this knowledge at a tender age and, carry it as they grow up. And maybe to ask you, how has it been? How are the children responding to to this sort of learning? Is it something they're excited about? Is it something that they are willing to do, other than just doing it for the sake of it's something I have to learn? How has it been?
Oh, that's a good question. I think first, starting with myself and my team, this has been one of the most fulfilling discoveries or programs or arms of Miti Alliance that is so fulfilling. So the children have been so receptive. Our lessons involve video streaming. We go around with a projector, generator. So if we go to a school and find that they don't have electricity, we will still run a session. We'll put blinders on their windows and have a class and study with them. But when they start asking the questions, when you're showing them underwater oceans and forests that they have never seen in that perspective, many do not have TVs because we don't target the private schools. We target the public schools that will hardly be reached. In fact, one of the schools, because we have a virtual reality VR session where we put the goggles on them and they saw the elephants for the first time. And with the VR, it's pretty intense because it's sound and virtual. The kids were jumping and some were screaming and some were like, I have never seen an elephant. I didn't know that it's that big. And we eventually give these kids to the teachers as well. And they are shocked. They jump. They remove the kit from their eyes. So you get to a place and you're like, we're using very simple tools to help these children to understand the link between the environment, conservation, restoration, biodiversity. We are having sessions where the teachers even ask us to extend or to come back again. And then now out of the students, after we show them that, we get the students joining an environment club. They now become the custodians. And yeah, the process might be a little bit slow. It might take a little bit more time, but we are seeing more success in the schools that we have proper where we go and just say we are planting and we are out. So you show up to a school and you have a partner and they want to just plant. They show off their banners, their t-shirts and everything, and then they're out. But they don't support you through the educational programs. And we are saying that through environmental education, I would say that these kids are hungry. They've been hungry for this knowledge. And our hope right now in Nyeri is that we go to at least 50 to 100 schools in the coming year just to have sessions. Just to have sessions of virtual reality, a short film, 40 minutes or even 20 minutes film. They see an ocean, they see a forest. We view animals via virtual reality and make it very interactive, because through that interaction, they are starting to ask questions. And as they ask questions, they are making it's becoming much more easier for them to understand what it is that we are doing. Why are we doing it? You're becoming a teacher, a timeless teacher, that you will possibly have a Wangari Maathai in maybe every one school in the future. And that's what we are working on, that one day, out of our lessons, out of our interactions, there will be one environmentalist or conservationist that will come out of that school. And if we only had one Wangari Maathai, what if we had 20 across Kenya or across the world? It could be transformational. So that's what we are doing. Honestly, it's what wakes us up every day, just to think about where we are going, what we are doing, how we are doing it. And it keeps us going because we know we are able to showcase that with the children. They're able to learn, they're able to benefit, and it's very, very exciting for us.
Great. Thank you so much, Michael. And I mean, I can't get enough of this conversation. I'm just interested. I'm just getting interested as you continue speaking. And as rethinking choices, what we're doing during these 12 days of COP, we are presenting people with an opportunity to rethink their choices. And when you speak about that people ought now to have a mindset shift from just planting trees to growing trees, that is it speaks volumes to what we are trying to say, that calling people to rethink their choices in the way they relate with nature, which will help us navigate through climate change, because it's real. However, we can't just sit and say that all is done. I believe there's something that we can do, and what you're doing is one way in which we can be able to navigate through climate change. And maybe as you're almost coming to a close to this, maybe would you share with us some of the challenges that you people face, and maybe some of the success stories? I know you've mentioned, you've shared some of the success stories that you've had, but maybe if you have some, maybe you can also share as well.
Okay, maybe I begin with the challenges. The challenges have been that when you get certain partners, they feel that tree growing should be a very, very cheap thing to do. Seedlings are 20 shillings or 50 shillings or 100 shillings, or depends with the size. So they see that since this thing I'm buying is very cheap or affordable, it will grow by itself. And I feel like that's something that has been very wrong in so many ways. And what that has done is made it very hard for us when you're trying to convince a partner that they need to pay for follow-up, they need to support the growth of this tree. And what you find is that there are so many events, tree planting events, but not tree growing activities. And that has been a very, very major concern for us. And we're still yet to deal with it. We are hoping people change their mindsets around it. Once people plant, they don't feel that they have an obligation to water that seedling. They expect that it will grow by itself. Yet we plant maize, beans, and everything, and we have to till for them so that they grow. We have to put some manure, we have to put some compost, we have to let it grow and care for it. We have to weed. The tree needs the same. So that kind of attitude is still yet to be in the minds of many. The other challenge we see is that people have not embraced agroforestry. We are seeing so many monocultures where you just plant maize, or you just plant maize, beans, the three sisters, and potatoes. And then you harvest, and next time you add the more nitrogen, NPK, you add the fertilizers, and you plant the same thing. But we are hoping people will embrace agroforestry, because in there you have planted a fruit tree, an indigenous tree, a fodder tree, and maybe a wood or timber tree that you can benefit from over the seasons. As you take care of your beans and maize and all these other things, you are also growing trees that will be wind barriers or will protect that area that you're growing your food. Another challenge has been that people are yet to understand the carbon sequestration, the carbon credits, and it's an impediment. Between the verifiers and between the people who are polluting, who want to pay for the carbon sequestration, and the brokers in between is just, I feel like it's quite a mess. Like, the expectation is that you have 1,000, 10,000 acres. But what about the small farmers, smallholder farmers with 5 acres, 3 acres? How can they benefit from that? Are those, if they are programs, can they say that they can benefit from the programs that are there from this? Then how is the funding for carbon or climate change trickling down to these subsistence farmers or the areas that are having such climatic impacts? We are still to see a significant trickle down of this funding to local community-based organizations, youth groups, women groups. And I think we've talked about it for so many years, and I feel it's quite frustrating that I'm still yet to see a significant change. I know, yes, the conversations are going on, but can we talk of a project that we can say it involved 1,000 farmers in a specific area, transformed their lives, schools were built, they set up agroforestry systems, they got, what can you say, like, they were paid for the right value for the work they've done. And I feel that that has been a challenge for local communities. And right now we're just in El Nino, and we don't know if it will go on. Now imagine all the people who have lost their homes, their livestock. What can be done? So I feel like we are still doing band-aid kind of solutions, but I feel like sustainable forestry systems, agroforestry needs to be really introduced. Water harvesting methods, like real low-level projects, like community dams, community or household water collection systems, small dams with dam liners, like practical solutions. And for me, if that can be done in that level, I feel that we could make a significant transformation. So those are some of the challenges I can speak of. The wins, the successes I've said is like the schools program. Now we have the farmers project, and that has been of great benefit. We have a group of so many youth that are attending COP, and I commend them for their work, for speaking up. I also commend the government and state agencies that are really fighting and negotiating for better terms for us, the non-polluting countries. But also is to challenge the polluting countries, really. Like there's aspects of sustainability that we can embrace. And when capitalism, hyper-capitalism is in the middle of it, it becomes quite a challenge. So we are still in a quagmire where the world is imploding with certain demands of food, the increase in population, the increase in pollution. So you look at it from that angle and you say, are there people of goodwill somewhere across the earth, across the globe, across the continents that can come together and make a significant difference, not here in the non-polluting countries, but also in their countries? Because we are looking at it from the support that we require from them. Yes, it is needed because the damage is being caused from that high level pollution. So there are still ways in which people can do this. I also want to kindly request everybody that is attending COP, like, if we all go and take our actions and we take the actions seriously, that we will make a difference. I have never attended any COP. I know maybe it is about the sponsorship and the money that you need to have to go for these events. But I've taken upon myself to make sure that Meteor Alliance is doing the best we can with what we have. I hope that the other people who are attending these sessions are not just going for meetings, nice sessions, but not having any commitments. It does not make any sense to have another COP, if we don't take the right actions. My background is in sustainability and energy, and over the years I've read on the deliberations at COP and what has been agreed and what was said, and we are still finding so many countries failing on their commitments just because maybe one, the funding was not received, or the commitment was not there from the start, or the funding commitment was not adhered to, and the reporting as well. So there's so many aspects of goodwill that are needed for this to succeed, for us to make a significant impact, and it is us now to think about it and do something about it. But for another good thing that has happened is that with Kenya targeting the 15 billion, I pray and I hope that Kenyans and other countries will take up on themselves to do the same, but also to introduce sustainable systems that supports them, their livelihood, their economic empowerment and growth. Overall, if you have trees and you don't have food, then you have a problem. Because someone will, when I interact with the farmers, it just boils down to the basics. Like, if I had an avocado tree, a guava tree, a lukwa tree, an apple tree there, and these were my indigenous trees and some exotic trees, I would not cut all my trees to sell them for firewood if I have that food and fruit to sell. So for me, it's really basic. And I'm seeing there's different projects coming up, and I'm hoping and praying that they increase. So there is a goodwill in different areas, in different countries, where we are seeing that goodwill is coming up. So yeah, that's something that has been happening. There's been a lot of goodwill in the schools, in the communities that we've been to, and we're hoping to raise more funding, more support to reach new counties. And right now we are hoping that we will raise funding to go to Marsabit, an arid, semi-arid region, where we hope to set up a tree nursery and a similar Miyawaki forest and an agroforestry system to train the community in those arid regions. So we are very hopeful and looking forward to meaningful, fruitful, impactful collaborations. Yeah.
Great, Michael. And I mean, from your presentation, it's clear. It's clearly that it's something that you love. It's whatever you're doing. It's something that you love doing. Whatever you're talking about, it's something that is coming from your heart. And you talked about you not being in COP, but just see, we're having COP in the villages. You're taking it to the village. You're having these conversations to people who are not in COP, and and showcasing what people are doing out there. And as you put it,
Yeah.
Our hope is that those people who are there at COP will not only just attend those seminars, but they'll also have meaningful deliberations, which is critical, which is so great. And maybe as we come to a close, Michael, we have a segment called Book of Trees, where we share our stories about a tree that we relate with, a tree that you have a connection with. So I know you probably you may not have count of the trees that you've planted
Yeah.
because of how you do, but maybe could you share with us just maybe as one or two trees that that you've developed a connection with, and maybe talk to us what the connection is all about.
Actually, I'm not so far from it. I don't know if I can show you. I'm actually outside right
Yeah,
near the
sure. Yeah, sure. Would love to see
so
it. Would love to see it.
so I'm here right next to, it's a shrub. Um, and this shrub, I'm just trying to be at an angle that you'll be able to see.
Okay.
This shrub is called Carissa edulis and Mokawa in Kikuyu. It's one of my favorite, and I'm hoping that I will learn everything about it. It has edible berries, and in the days of days, this shrub, through its roots, gave a medicine that was renowned across Kenya. And Maasai's use it a lot, Kikuyus use it a lot for treating ailments that are related to blood, anything to do with detox, but the fruits are pretty tasty. I'd say this is one of the most favorites of mine. Sadly, it was cut across Kiambu, Nairobi, Murang'a, and we found it here in Nyeri in our area. And we've been trying to introduce people to it because of its benefits. When people were grazing, they would eat the berries. When people got sick, they would harvest some of their roots. And the biggest story of it is that in the 90s or in the 2000s, we had a medicinal doctor who was treating all forms of diseases with it in Tanzania, in an area called Loliondo. And people drove there were massive trucks and people going to Tanzania to get a sip of the medicine that came from this tree. It was quite a story. It's still on YouTube. You can look it up. His name was Babu. And I still marvel at the fact that this young shrub was cut off to clear lands for development, and then now we don't have it anymore. So we want to restore it. We want more people to plant them. They are good for hedges. They are good for bees. The honey, the flowers, they have extensive flowers. Beautiful red flowers. I think they are not flowering now because they just dropped their fruits. But this is one of my favorites, and I promote it. I love it, and I'm really hoping that other people can plant it. Yeah, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Michael. Interesting there. And as we close it now, for maybe final thoughts, Michael, and maybe words of inspiration to any person who would want to pursue the same course or is pursuing the same course as you are, and maybe he's somewhere and maybe he feels that things are not working out. Would you have any words for such a person as we close?
Yeah, I'd say this, like, possibly the efforts that you're making right now may not be seen. I feel that all the time. I feel I don't have enough funding to do all the projects that I need to do, especially scaling the farmers project. start where you are. Start with what you have. It still matters. The community that you are in needs you. We are the foot soldiers for the environment, for this generation. And if anything, what will you have lived for if you didn't make a difference or you didn't give your best? So when you get discouraged, just look back at what the world was years before significant change in climate happened. It was the inaction of those who were there then that has led us to us being here. Now that we are here, will you be blamed by your children or your children's children for taking no action? So for me, every little single effort that I make counts, and I cannot stop. Even when I'm discouraged, I'll be down. I'll lack the funds. But I will still find that there will be someone out there who is facing the same thing, but their effort and my effort combined is better than doing nothing about it. So keep doing what you're doing. It matters for this generation. We will not be called the generation that took no action or didn't do anything, but we transformed our world to make it better. That's what I'd tell myself and tell someone out there who may be listening, who will listen to this, that all these efforts matter. And right now, it's not who's doing what bigger than who. It's about collaborating and working together to make a difference and restore Mother Earth. So yeah, that's what I'd say.
Thank you. Well put, Michael. And what a way to end this conversation. It's been really interesting and informative. And we look forward to engage with you, Michael, again, and maybe visit Nyeri.
Yes,
just
most
have
welcome.
a walk and just have a walk and see how things are moving on there. So thank you so much, Michael, for your time, and we really appreciate and for making time for this, and all the best of luck with what you're doing.
Asante sana. Thank you very much.
Great. That was a nice conversation we had with Michael, and I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I couldn't wait to I couldn't wait to hear more of that. Time again is a limiting factor, but it was a session that I really enjoyed, and I got a lot from it. And maybe Collins, how did you find the video? How was it?
Okay, thank you, Tim. Yeah, inspiring indeed, just to hear what Michael Wayaki is doing, the passion, the commitment, the determination, and his last statement, kind of, just reiterating the aspect about the little positive steps that actually we take every day to make the world a better place, and which is the foundation of the It's For You campaign. So when somebody is saying, hashtag It's For You, and I hear Michael talking about, what will you have lived for if you never took a step to plant that seedling tree? Maybe in the future, that could be the source of livelihoods for a community that are looking out for the fruits, the bee, and the whole aspect about the livelihoods. And I really also admire his approach about the transformation ownership, as he mentioned about the thinking our choices, and the aspects about the ESCGN student network about turning climate action into livelihoods, and the education part, what World Climate School is doing, and I sort of just picked that to really understand that he's actually preparing a very amazing model on how actually we need to engage communities in terms of conservation and climate action. And his last also idea, just to understand that we are the food soldiers when it comes to making our planet green, and that realization to just know that you don't have to have it all to start, but just looking around your environment and starting with what you have already can make a big difference. And so I just want to say thank you for Michael, and I'm looking forward to connect with him and the farmers. They're doing the training over in the central part of Kenya. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Great. I cannot agree more, Collins, on that. And to our next segment, Collins, you had an interesting conversation with Monica. Would you mind telling us how the conversation went and what is it about?
Oh, thank you. Yes, so Monica represents the indigenous, communities in Kenya, and we did connect with her a few years back in a workshop, and we reconnected back again in one of the workshops in Nairobi, and she brings, this inspiring story about, how change, and small steps to just empower and amplify the voices of the indigenous communities can actually bring real positive change to empower women, farmers, and employing modern and indigenous knowledge in a very unique way. And let's just move forward to listen to her story. She is currently in Dubai for the COP, and hopefully we also get a chance to connect with her in the discussions coming along. So over to you, Tim.
Thank you. Let's listen to Monica.
To have you. I think the interview has kicked off, and we can just proceed. So thank you for making your time. David Coy is in the UK. I'm in Nairobi, and Monica has mentioned already about the organization she's working with in Baringo, in Nairobi, Kenya. And probably we just wanted to hear a brief story. You are a woman coming from the indigenous. What's your story around the Women and Girls Initiative? Some challenges and the message to the world. I understand you are traveling to COP and how that connects. And I know David will have to just pick in from your story and see how it goes. I know we have a few minutes before maybe another call, but I believe we can do our first part, and probably if you have time we can engage also another day. But thank you so much. So, and you're welcome. So briefly, just about maybe your story, what inspired you for this.
Thank you, Collins. My story started in 2019. I used to work at Pastoralist Development of Kenya as program officer, and we were doing a lot of anti-FGM campaigns, speaking about pastoralist rights, speaking about marginalization, coming from arid and semi-arid area. So I realized this anti-FGM campaigns was not working for us, especially coming from a community where it's very remote, seriously marginalized, getting access to those remote villages difficult, and the culture was still going on. And my worry was, how do we protect these women and girls? So, and first we are dealing about SDG 5, and we forget that there's SDG 1, and poverty was really pushing women to inequality. So I realized that I need to innovate, and that's why I introduced agroecology, that is regenerative agriculture. We started small. After a church function, I told the women, no, we have to really work hard and ensure that we feed our families first, because how do you challenge GBV when you don't even have power to say no? And we still marry off our girls, we still circumcise our girls. So there's this socialization, how we are socialized our young girls, that we are naive, we cannot speak in front of men. Our women too cannot speak in front of their husbands, so they are told There's that even gender inequality, even in decision making, even at household level. So I said, no. How do we talk about food security? How do we talk about cultivating our land? How do we have diversification? That's when now I introduce organic farming and agroecology as a way of making sure that we address first the hunger and poverty, so that when we'll be speaking about gender equality, women can take part in this decision, also prove to their men that they can really feed their families. So again, how do you even educate your girls when the men and the fathers know that this is well to them, so they marry them off at a younger age. So giving them power to say no and to challenge those inequalities is by empowering first a woman. So that is the journey, and that's how I started in 2019. Thank you.
That's really interesting, really amazing. I mean, this part where you talk about recognizing you need the livelihoods first. Really, you need that, and that empowers, and it must have been very difficult to come to that realization. How did it come about in many ways?
It wasn't that difficult because I come from an agro-pastoralist community. I was raised by a single mother. We lost our dad when I was 10 years old. Right. And my mom, with a small farm, she could produce food enough for us and also surplus for sale. I would see women walking in and out of our garden to buy vegetables, to buy cereals, to buy. We had a big plantation of bananas, the green bananas, and I used to ride to the center to sell bananas, pawpaws, and bring money for my mother when I was young. So I saw that there's value in farming, and that's why I say no. If my mother managed single-handedly with us kids working with our mom, so why not those who have children and have husbands and spouses, so they can support each other and have alternatives to their livelihood. So to me, it was not impossible. It is just information and how they can do that, because we work with pastoralist community, and even them handling this farm tools is difficult. So it's a process, but we are really doing it. So to me, I feel like it's very possible. Yes, very possible.
That's really great. Well, I mean, one of the things Collins and I we've often talked about with young people today who are very climate conscious is they are engaged in sort of a very aggressive activism to try and say, we people must do this, governments must do that. But your example in many ways for us is we have to turn the actions into livelihoods, into exactly what you're doing. And I think when you talk about your agriculture, the regenerative aspects, combined with the pastoralists, you actually, how do you find, because for us, it means you're actually helping that connection with nature and helping that forward. How has doing so helped, do you think, empowered the women you're working to protect? How have you found that? How have you found have you seen the way that they think about themselves differently?
Yes. Just to inform you that I have overwhelming calls. I have people coming to office, they want to be trained. When I do a radio talk show, I even stopped going for radios because I get so overwhelmed by the number of women who are calling me. So I really work with women group, and I suggest that women come together. 10 to 15, 10 to 20 is a good number, so that when we go for training, we also suggest to them that they should agree among themselves which farm do we go to. And also we start now farm demonstration, because in working with communities who have not gone to school, we do a lot of practical. So we do trainings and also farm demonstration. And the trainings and the farm demonstration we go to, that becomes our agroecology model farms. That's where the community go and see. And to me, so far, we have over 30 functional demo farms, and they go and see change. Before they used to tell us, there's no water, how do I farm and there's no water? So when we tell them that they can do swales, they can use A-frame to landscape their land, where to put up the small pan dams, where to dig swales, and how many swales do you need in this farm, you see, slowly they're embracing it, and I get a lot of phone calls. Come and see my farm. Come and visit my farm. So again, it's about agroecology principles are co-creation, and we make them come together, share their stories, learn from each other, and also talking about using them naturally available resources. We use livestock waste, we use farm waste to make composting. We also dig small, we direct water from the road to the farms. It's very simple, because now you're talking to a woman who doesn't even have money to buy water tank. They're still living in Manyatta, and they're not roofed. They use thatched grass. So how do you talk about buying a water tank when they don't have money? So we use what is available, and permaculture is very innovative. We use what is available to make a resource out of that. And that, to me, is something simple that we need also all of us to support and push for funding to grassroots organization, to also these women groups, to support them, because climate action is about coming all of us together, bringing our minds together, and also considering the indigenous knowledge. And of course, agroecology, it's a great science, and also our indigenous knowledge as well.
That's really great. I mean, I love this story. Can I just ask to understand a little better, when you say airframes, what are they?
Come again? Well,
you mentioned airframes earlier. The way that you're able to grow in the farming. Yeah.
The airframe is a scientific word for okay. If you do it science way, we can use the landscaping, the microscopic landscaping. But for us, we use airframe, where we make like an A shape, two what do we call, two logs, and then one in the middle, and then we use a string to do landscaping. It's a more natural.
So an A-frame, so it looks like this kind of thing. It looks like a letter A.
Yes. And then
so it looks like a letter A, right?
Yes,
and then you build that, and what do you use it for?
We use that to do landscaping, so that we understand how the level of the land looks like, and how do we direct our swales, the swales we dig to slow the water flush, and also to sink water in the soil, because it's a semi-arid place. We need more of that to store water, especially now it is raining, and all the water drains to the lakes, to the rivers.
Yes, that's right. Yes. So so you that allows you. So it's actually quite technical. You measure the levels so that you can see where the water will flow, so that you can actually make use of the land to capture the water that you have.
It's technical, but we of course you need to bring change, and change is a bit expensive, slow. But then, how do you make them understand that you don't need to look for a surveyor, land surveyor? You don't need to look. I use a lot of money to store water and to protect your land, because the idea is, how do we make our land productive? How do we store water? How do we reduce biodiversity loss by these flash floods? Because if you tell them why don't you produce food, they say there's no water, and there's a lot of water. There's a lot of rains, but the water are going away to the streams. So how do we keep this water in the soil and also in the land?
So how do you manage that? Because the land will soak in the water when it rains a lot. How do you make that waterproof in that way?
With the swales, we have types of swales now, depending on the type of the land. So there's one called the eyeball one. We dig very deep so that there's a lot of water coming in. Then there's another swale that is going down. So we make another swale down, then another one, so that the bigger the swale in the hub, the smaller it goes down. But there's an outlet to when this one is too full, it goes to the other one. So it's more practical, and when they see it, they want to do it.
Okay, so you basically have, I'm trying to gesture along. You basically have them sort of in layers along, going from one to the other, flowing from one to the other, and keep the soil from simply soaking the water. Do you have to line it, or how do you make it waterproof on the bottom?
At times you can use the dam liner. At times you don't need, because now there's so much rain. So we don't need. At times you don't need. At times you need it. So depending on the farmer groups that you're working with as well.
Okay. And this is you simply take it so it's like it's a dip. It's not like dug as a trench. You know, the walls are sloping down and it goes on through.
And also that depends on the amount of water draining to your farm, because in Baringo we have soft-like soil, especially where there's a lot of cactus and juliflora. So we try to rehabilitate those lands, because you see farmers are already stressed with the invasive plants. So when we rehabilitate land, we see the direction of water, and also some of this land we have deep gullies. So those are the ones we rehabilitate. Yeah. But now it depends on where your land is situated. Some are very good land, we just do small swales.
Yes.
As like zigzag-like, and they store water. And also we train them how to do mulching, how to do crop rotation, to grow cover crops, the agroecology principles and permaculture designs.
Yes. So I see. So I think this is really quite amazing to see. It must be like a miracle for the women you work with.
Yes, if you come there, they will want to. They just want to admire what we do. The first training we do, everyone wants to go and practice. So I tell them to work in groups, because at times it's very hard, especially when you want to dig the swells that goes deep to 4 feet down. They need to work with their husbands, they need to work with their children, they need to work together. So that's why we work with the formal groups, like the self-help groups that come together, 10 to 15. That's a good number to work with. So every time they meet, they work on the farm. They also share.
Yeah, and so 4 feet down. How big across? How wide is it? Like 10 feet across, or is it like 20? Or
like 1 feet width.
In width. So it's quite narrow along.
Depends. Can be narrow. It can be big. But I tell them to be bigger, so that inside the swell they plant crops like bananas inside, because banana needs a lot of water.
So not to plant the banana, or to plant the banana?
To plant bananas, and then outside the swell they can, where now they throw the topsoil, they can plant now the cover crops, the legumes, sweet potatoes, cassava. Yeah. Because those are already built soil and very soft for the legumes.
Yes.
So and beside that, they can now plant fruit trees, because now when the water is in the soil, they spread to the fruit trees.
Right, that's very good. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, Collins, let me hand over to you. I'm really amazed. I think to summarize along, I think what you've expressed captures very much, this aspect where the empowerment comes from having that livelihood, and the dignity of the livelihood really comes from being able to know that you are the one who's able to create it, and the resources are always around. And what you allow is really the ability for people to see that and to see themselves as part of that. And that's such an amazing story.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Collins, let me pass it over to you. I'm going to introduce myself for now. So thank you very much. It's been a real pleasure talking to you. I hope we will have a chance to speak further, and I hope we may even have a chance to meet. I would love to see those miracles out there. And you just reminded me of conversations also with another group I had been speaking to, who are from another region where it's a very arid area, so they don't get rain much, and they want to capture this. And basically, I think what you're saying is you can do this very easily along, and the thing is, if you can do this and actually cover it, maintain it, you can capture a lot of water and go good long way. Yeah, thank you. It's been a real pleasure.
Welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, so thank you, David. Thank you, Monica. I think David is joining another meeting, but I'm really inspired to hear your story. And one of the concepts that David and Richard from the UK have actually been speaking about is transformational ownership. And it's actually, when I look at your story, the same model where the economics emerge, from the people and the resources they have in their surrounding, and turning those obstacles and challenges into an opportunity for livelihoods. So probably, I know we have a few minutes to go. I wanted to just probably hear about your the challenges that you do encounter working with communities and the indigenous groups, and probably out of these challenges, what is it that gives you the strength every day to wake up and be able to inspire and champion for their rights? Probably because we have people in our networks across the world that would love to hear that.
Thank you, Collins. The first, I must say, the challenges are not that many. Maybe the overwhelming demand for trainings, and also looking at the situation in my county and the indigenous parts of Kenya and the arid and semi-arid areas, because it covers a big, large mass, and seriously, pastoralism is a threat now because of the land degradation that is happening. But again, we don't have support from county and national government. There is no policy that speaks about tribal restoration. As even we speak now, President is focusing on carbon trading. They want to plant more trees in island and in rain-fed areas. But what happens to these semi-arid areas? Nobody speaks for us. So again, we don't have strong policies to support restoration in Thailand. And again, government is not recognizing that pastoralism is also adding to the GDP of this country. So again, how do we make pastoralism sustainable? To me, how do we even use our livestock manure for commercial organic fertilizers? They are now having punitive actions against using livestock manure. As we are advocating for indigenous seeds, indigenous breeds, which are climate resilient. So if they start bringing now new breeds, they will definitely not be resilient to our situation now. As you speak now, so much rain comes zoonotic diseases. So we will lose a lot of livestock. So again, how do we enhance the indigenous knowledge and also support pastoralism as an adaptation to climate change? Because migration is an adaptation to climate change, but how do we make migration and mobility possible for pastoralist community? So again, policies, and then again, our climate action initiative, what is in our NDCs, does not speak for pastoralism and sustainable agriculture. To me, the NDCs should even make sure that we integrate agroecology for climate action. We have so many publications, FAO have done that. We have so many scientists talking about the best part of agroecology, but how do we put that into our policies, our county policy? Because every county has a climate change act policy. Yeah. What about now the national climate change adaptation plans? Does it speak for the people? So again, they should be human rights centered, especially with the approaches of climate change. The president now is evicting a gay community to pave way for carbon trading. So, and these communities have been living in the forest and protecting the forest. So why is human rights now to this restoration initiative? So again, we need to bring our president to the sense of humanity and understand that indigenous peoples have indigenous knowledge and they've been protecting that forest. If you go down to Mao Forest, the people doing the logging are non-organic. They want now to start bringing now conventional agriculture. They're planting tea farms. They want to plant teas in the forest. Why don't they allow Oge community to protect and plant more trees, indigenous trees in that forest? So there's conflicting interest about the carbon business and also agriculture. Another challenge we are seeing is in our curricula, thanks to CBC. How do we bring in now the intergenerational knowledge transfer? Apart from this small project we are doing, how do we make agriculture nice, good to the youth? It should not be a punishment. Producing food should not be a punishment. So how do we change the narrative so that we don't have a lot of our young youths in Twitter, TikTok, but not focusing on food? And food is everything to us now. So how do we bring now, even in our universities, our technical colleges, how do we bring food production and where is the market? And also ensuring that the young generation benefit from agriculture as well. So those are the challenges, and opportunities are so many. Of course, there is no life without food.
Yeah.
Everybody has to wake up and eat. So how do we make food and agriculture an opportunity for everyone, so that everyone thinks about food production and not about white collar jobs and sitting in our offices? Yes, it is good to be in a white shirt, of course, but what will you eat? So again, how do we make agriculture more lucrative to the youth? Thank you, Collins.
Thank you, Monica, and glad to actually hear views, and I agree totally about the policy dilemma surrounding the issues about the indigenous communities and the climate interventions. And glad that you have talked about the curriculum, and actually also the students, because what actually connects us in this program, I know we didn't have much time to share that, but I do serve on the advisory board for the student network. It's called the East African Campuses and Colleges Green Network. The logo at the middle. And on the other side, we have the for the meeting, but connect with us in another forum. And one of the things that we are trying to do is to see how the students, community students in colleges and universities can actually, bring their knowledge, expertise, and innovations to the local communities, and in that way connect with such kind of ideas of the women group that you're working with, to be able actually to scale up such kind of projects in agriculture and livestock and so forth. So it is glad, and I know that we are going to advance these discussions further on. Maybe briefly, I know that you are traveling to COP, and I just wanted to maybe hear your perspective about the expectation. And lastly, maybe now your message to the world about, especially the young people who are watching and will be watching us. What's your message to the young people with regards to surviving climate crisis?
My message to the young people is to rethink and also look at the global narrative now and what climate really has brought to us. Reflecting during the COVID time, we had very tough times during COVID, and the worst was that there was no food. The worst challenge was no food. In fact, when we were, what you call this COVID time hours, when we were enclosed, we could not even feed our people. Now it's time to reflect and think climate action, and also having opportunities in these spaces, and also going back to the farms, because food is everything, and there's opportunities now. I'm seeing a lot of youth, these digital youth platforms, and also the trade of organic foods, the consciousness of people now knowing that they have to eat healthy, and also opportunities in value addition. That is an opportunity for youth. We are not against the fossil fuels and the rest, but what about the green fuel? We need to invest on solar energy. We need to invest on a restoration. That is an opportunity for us now. A tree is going for 60 to 100 shillings. A fruit tree is going for 250 shillings. There's an opportunity for agroforestry, especially for the youth. So let them think climate action, and it's opportunity for the youth. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Monica. It's so been glad having you today, and I want to wish you all the best as we travel to Dubai for the COP, and hopefully we can connect and hopefully also be able to even have you on our live sessions when you get time during your 12 days of COP. So I want to wish you all the best and thank you, and maybe just say hello to the people in Baringo who could be also watching, and your message to the women as we finish.
My message to especially my county government, my Governor Cheboy, please embrace farming, especially now that we have opportunities in the islands to have coffee, to have tea, of course, with the beautiful forests. Kindly protect Koibatek forests, Koibatek and Mau, Koibatek and Mochongoy forest. And also don't forget that dry lands have opportunity. We need to plant more crops, more fruit trees. We need industries. We are producing a lot of fruits, but they end up in the food loss. So how do we add value, especially to the mangoes that they're so plenty now? The season is almost here. And also using the invasive plants, the frost office. We passed a bill of frost office management, but how do we use frost office better to produce feeds for our livestock? Can produce fodder. And also the cactus trees. We need to produce biogas and support women, especially to stop cutting trees. There's a big business of charcoal in Baringo now, but can we have alternatives to charcoal business? Now we use cactus to produce biogas. And also, how do we support young who are youths who want to venture into agroforestry and also agriculture? Where is the money for financing? Especially now that there is a county climate change fund. How do we see more youths in agriculture so that they stop migrating to Nairobi and causing more troubles in the city? Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I have to take 1 minute from you because I just remembered something I didn't ask you about, because you mentioned about the value addition and Baringo and honey. So I really wanted maybe 1 minute to that.
Yes, Baringo is #1 in honey production and the best organic honey thanks to the acacia species that is around there. We need to invest more in honey production, but we need to discourage charcoal burning because it's killing our bees. The bees have to migrate because of the smoke. So if we need to produce more honey, let us protect the forest. The emerging conservation community conservancies, they need support, really support, so that we protect the indigenous species of trees and also support carbon trading, because we have conservancies that are doing good work, but they want to get to see this carbon trading. Wanasema wanauza hewa, but they want to know hii hewa ni gani. So we need more information in carbon trading, because I know of few conservancies in Baringo that are very serious in protection. We have also formed committees to ensure that there's no charcoal burning in those conservancies. And I'll be soon I'll be a member very soon in a small part of land I've bought there. And we are supporting conservation fully so that we produce more honey and also we keep our bees. Not to migrate. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That's a very strong ending message for the community, and really true story for where young people can actually connect. Because one of our our strong message and the hashtag about It's For You is actually about livelihoods and using the opportunity for these 12 days of COP to actually tell the businesses, the governments, to redirect part of their spending to initiatives that are actually making the world better as viewers. And so glad, hopefully that we get time to connect again with our team, and if you find even 10 minutes during your stay in Dubai, we can actually be able to connect with like-minded people to bring these stories together for our future generations. So thank you so much, and wishing you all the best.
Thank you so much, Collins.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Okay. Thank you.
Great conversation there by Collins and Madam Monica. Collins, how did you feel the conversation? How was it?
Yes, Tim. I'm listening to the conversation, and I'm feeling like I'm getting everything new, and it's a point of reflection, as Monica points out, and she has raised actually quite some fundamental aspects about the young people connecting to the opportunities that are there actually to survive the climate crisis. And what she mentions about the reflection during COVID-19, what it put us into, and it provided an opportunity for new ideas and innovations. And when we look around the crisis of climate, it's also an opportunity for young people and women and the kind of work she's doing to actually just reflect and say what opportunities are there for us to harness and turn these obstacles into uh, livelihoods and make the world a better place.
Great.
Over to you, Tim. Yeah.
I agree. And this conversation made me remember a conversation we had a few days ago with Aggie from Kenya Girl Guides that was talking about how young women and they are being nurtured to take up environmental action stewardship. And you see, it brings out the potential of women when given these opportunities, and it makes us aware of the immense potential they have in serving community and also society as far as taking care of the environment is concerned. So I feel even as we champion for climate action, I think we should also encourage more women to be allowed in the space, because from Monica and Aggie, it seems that there lies great potential in women as far as environmental conservation is concerned, which is really incredible, amazing. And having said,
yes, indeed. Okay. I agree with you, Tim. Yes.
Yeah, and maybe having said that, well, they say work without play make Jack a dull boy. So we want to have some music from some young people here who are using their talents to communicate to issues relating to society, and we get a taste of what they have for us today. And also our one and only Larry Dwayne will be performing for us next, and then we get into a conversation that is close to Colin's heart, and that is Water for Masai. So let's listen to the music.
Leo singebaki ndani hata inyeshe mvua. Sina senti 10 yani nitadandia washua. Kwani DJ ni nani mbona najua. Kibegi nishikie ninataka kuua. Shika, 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 shika.
live fast, we live slow, we love deep, we fly high. Live fast, live slow, we love deep, we fly high. We live fast, we live slow, we love deep, we fly high. To save the world, we have to go fast into very slow. And rich people, plastic, fantastic, and poor people living their full emotional scale of being humans, where emotions are real. Look, the rich are asking the poor to stop buying shoes. That is all fine. If you have 100 pair of shoes, I have 1 pair. Let's support the poor to accelerate to the 100. We run fast, we run fat, we run barefoot. Hung loose, we are on the surfboard. Hanging loose with 10 toes to the board. Let us open the door of the boardrooms. We have the front foot, let us take the front door. Hung loose, go slow, go fast, hung loose. Use the front foot, better yet the back door. Hung loose, go slow, go fast. It's a full moon. Yeah, it's a full moon. It's a full moon. Take a picture. Yeah, full moon. We live fast, we live slow, we love deep, we fly high. Live fast, live slow, we love deep and fly high. We live fast, live slow, we love deep and fly high. We fly high, yeah. We live fast, we live slow, we love deep and fly high. Live fast, live slow, love deep, fly high. We fly, live slow. Transformational ownership, this is the only way that we can drive transition into the green economy, yeah, that is the vision. Limit oil, gas, coal use, that's the mission. Need your participation. Do you believe we can achieve this transformation? Let us limit the production and give people the power. The earth right now is sour. Watupia wako sour. Dignity is key, all my people, do you listen? For me, I do believe that I have the superpower that can change the future. It starts with me, yeah, Larry Dwayne. I'll take an action. I'll be so active. Restore the environment, restore the ecosystem. Return it to the system, the indigenous system. How people, do you listen?
Great, great. That is Larry Dwayne, challenging us to, to be active. Sorry for that. Yeah, that is Larry Dwayne challenging us to, to take action as far as taking care of our environment is concerned. And he tells us that everyone has his or her own superpower, and it's high time for us to, to put that into practice as we champion for taking care of our common home, that is Mother Nature Earth. So with that now, we get to have a conversation about water for Maasai, and maybe Collins, would you share with us, what the conversation is all about?
Thank you, Tim. Yes, you have, from Larry's, music, if you listen to what he's actually talking about in the lyrics, it's about, nature has the feelings. We have the responsibility actually to restore our ecosystem and to return it to the system. And part of what he speaks is what brings us into, our next conversation. And the water for Maasai is actually just an open discussion that brings to the front, young people, women, the elder, the children, to genuine conversation about, generally surviving the climate action and how the whole aspect about water runs deep into, the challenges of, access, the pastoral communities. We have, the women. It's a whole aspect about, the wildlife and how communities are actually
doing what they can to be able to, manage, store and find access to water even in the times of crisis. And so in the discussion, we have, our friends from Kenya who actually come from the Maasai community. And it's an amazing discussion that we are picking it up to even get more people, not just from the Maasai, but across, to be able to just share their ideas, their perspective, and probably even, their story on how climate has actually affected them in a way that brings water as a basis of, trying to understand what's the future about our communities and what is the story around water and what they are doing. So over to you, team.
Thank you so much, audience, for that. And let's enjoy.
Indeed. We're going to see who we're bringing on here.
Yep,
we
let's
have
bring a few
Collins
more people on
with us.
stage.
We have
Philip
Philip
and
That's
David
Philip.
here.
and David.
Yes. So, Philip, do you want to unmute yourself and introduce yourself?
Yes, hi guys. Thanks for bringing me to the stage.
Feel free to turn on your video too if you like, if that's convenient. Obviously, don't if you are improperly dressed or something.
Struggling perhaps with bandwidth.
Sorry about that. My camera is not very well, so please forgive me for that.
No problem.
Yeah.
There are times when I call Richard and I think, gosh, could you turn your video off?
There you go.
But I'm excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me in here.
So tell me a bit about your background.
Yeah, so that's like more of it's like telling me about yourself in an interview. So almost tensed, but yeah. I am Philip Barteroy. I am the chair AICA. AICA is a community-based organization currently based in Kajiado County. And we just got started last year, mid of last year, majorly to address issues in regards to the Maasai culture and climate change. So that's us. So I'm excited to be here. I was invited by Kaka. He told me that we have a discussion in regards to water and the Maasai culture. So I guess that's more of an introduction for now. We can share more.
Okay, well, thank you. And we'll come back to all that a little bit more. And Collins, we often hear you mention Kajiado County, where Philip comes from. So how about yourself? How are you connected with? Are you connected with the Maasai? Is there a personal connection there?
Hello, glad to be here. Hello, David, Richard. Hi, Kaka.
Hi.
And David. Yeah. Glad seeing you today. Yes, David, I have a connection with Kajiado. I think Kaka can attest to that. And it has been an experience for me working with communities around the region, particularly with the youth and the women, and the whole aspect of climate issues. I had an opportunity to actually be coordinating the Adaptation Fund project, which was actually being implemented by one of the grassroots organizations in Kajiado, a women-led organization. And so I had an interaction of how, the women in this region are actually taking steps to, manage the crisis
and particularly with regards to the water issues, the socio-economic aspects, and yeah, it has been indeed an experience. And now connecting the Kaka and the ESCGN network students and the amazing work they are doing. I'm glad to be here.
Well, thank you for being here. And finally, we have David. Do you want to unmute yourself and just introduce yourself a little bit?
Yes. I greet you all. Good evening. It's evening here. My name is David Mterian Kuyata, and I came in when comedy was going on, so I was keenly to listen. And just to add on something, because we're in the line of comedy, right now I'm at home, and the Kajiado you're talking about, that's where I am right now. So if you hear some background sound, cows, dogs, just know I'm home. So I'm so glad to join you guys and to address this noble topic for today, water for Maasai. I know is an extensive topic and something to be addressed and to be, I mean, to lay a strategy and work on it. However, all is well. We have been in the office today running different programs, and today we had a conversation that people are talking about tree planting and something, and that tells us there is hope. Young people are coming out with different ideas, beautiful ideas, and that's a small step that our moderator David was talking about. I mean, the little step, you might be going in a little pace, but the most important thing is that you're heading toward the right direction. So I believe that I make to make a difference, I need to take that step. You need to take that step, and I believe we are going to have a better tomorrow and a better world to live in. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you, David. Thank you, Richard, and thank you, everyone who is here. Let us address this, and I believe that all this is going to work out well, and you're going to have a better tomorrow. So thank you from my side.
Thank you. So let's get moving. Water for Maasai. Now, the idea came through when I visited Kaka at the time of the launch of the EACCGN, the East Africa Camps and Colleges Green Network. And it was the end of a drought that was a multi-year drought. And he was telling me about the pastoral society community that the Maasai represents. Now, I don't know much about Kenya. I don't know much about kind of the continent of Africa and the diversity there. And this is really my first time I've really been there. But I think most people have seen these pictures of the Maasai. Basically, they're in red. They're the classic image that you find when you see something about about Africa, really. And so it's a very kind of it's very much the sort of thing that everybody recognizes. It's ubiquitous in the way that people think about it. I'm going to try and bring up a picture just to show what I mean. So just bear with me for one moment. And there you are. So that's kind of the Maasai people that we have there. And he took me back to where he lived, and then he started giving me this description of what happened over the period of drought. Their community is actually a very modern community in many ways. So this is the aspect I started to understand about indigenous life today. So Kaka is a Maasai warrior who is a law student, who is a top law student in a top university in Kenya. That's basically how it is. And at home and in the urban area, they cross over with that constantly, all the time. As David is describing, he's in Kajiado, which is a place where the Maasai is kind of one of the counties where they are around in that way. And even when you're in Nairobi, you see them walking around through there. The aspect about the drought was that traditionally, in times they would have these long migratory paths, in the sense of pastoral paths, with their cattle and with their goats, and they take it around the country. And I then later learned that a lot of place names are Maasai names because they travel through the vast expanse of land historically. all around. So I learned that Nairobi itself is a is a Maasai word, and they basically go around and give many place names to many of the places. And you know, Richard and I come from this economic angle, and we always have this kind of economic perspective in the sense, because from us, if you can't get the economics right, it's not going to work. And as we go forward, the two of us are adamant, as we explained what was last night, I can't remember now, things seem to fly so fast, about how the economics is going to get harder and harder. So if you're actually going to look about indigenous life and how to maintain it, how to make it work, we have to think about it in a way that it actually creates value for everybody within the community, not just for the indigenous people, but for everybody around it. And so it became, we started having this discussion. We sat in a park, we brainstormed through various things. And the more we thought about it, the more I came to this understanding that actually the livelihood is being threatened by all manner of things. It's being threatened because in the drought, as they lose their livestock, they're being forced to sell the land. If you're a pastoral community, you start selling your land, they basically have nowhere to exist. So that's one aspect that's very fundamental and very basic. The second part of it is when you are trying to take your animals during a poor period of drought from one area to another, and there's a big road in front of you that you can't just cross. Your animals are too weak to go 50 kilometers around one way to find another crossing point and come back in that sense. So the modern world is being built in a way that crisscrosses. And Kaka pointed out that within the law in Kenya, the right to graze is there for the Maasai to graze their animals. But the right of passage is being interfered with. Not with any particular malicious intent, but it's just the way urban development goes. And this is exactly the situations that we keep hearing in our conversations over the past few days, and undoubtedly we'll hear again, which is the unintended consequences of development. And a lot of the energy that the young people have talked about reconnecting with nature made us, at that time when we were sitting in the park and talking about it, to consider how we might actually be able to preserve this amazing pastoral community throughout Africa, throughout Kenya and East Africa and the regions where they are. And to do that, what you need to do is to preserve their ability to travel around. Now, when you look at that, what you then find amazingly is, of course, when they're able to do this, they actually help the land. They bring along better aspects for the land, for the animals and those things. And that's exactly what you want to see. And we started having this aspect about how can you make a proposal to preserve this lifestyle by preserving the land, by preserving the migratory paths, the pastoral paths across vast distances in a way that actually brings benefits to all the community. Not just for the Maasai, but for people to recognize what is good for indigenous life is going to be good for all the communities. It's going to be good for all the countries. It's going to force us to rethink how our cities want to be looking like, how our economics ought to be looking like, and where we ought to be thinking about the possibility. And just to throw that into there before I bring Abraham onto the stage as well, is this aspect where I had this kind of idea, and Richard may like this, of a 100-kilometer Maasai walk, where you have a holiday and you go for walk 100 meters, 100 kilometers over maybe 4 days, 5 days or whatever it is. And that would be your holiday, a bit like, the dude ranches and those cowboy things you have in America. And you have many of those things where you can actually have a whole kind of a form of an ecotourism that actually helps to preserve it, because it brings in revenues and it brings in notice and interest, and it also allows that to bring in interest for other communities too. So I'm just going to bring in Abraham. Hello, Abraham. Good to see you.
Hello. Thank you.
Do you want to introduce yourself a little bit?
Yes. Huh?
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi everyone.
We lost Richard.
This is Abraham. Huh?
Yes.
I'm from Kenya. I'm from Kenya, yes. And I'm happy to joining the group and hoping that the discussions here is going to bring impact of the project that we're planning to bring forth. So I'm believing that we're going to work on well. Yes.
So what I want to do is really just to enable conversation between you all. You're all interested, and you all have an interest in there, and basically the way I think of this is, I guess first of all I want to think about how you guys think about that, what you think is the situation, and then to go on to the next part of what do you think is necessary in order to do this, and how to bring in who might be the principal people that would be a beneficial to have, and then how they can come about in different phases. And there may be other ideas of what might be possible, but ultimately what we are looking to is just kind of a sharing of our ideas about just how indigenous life in something like the pastoral living can actually be economically significant to a modern economy and to a modern country like Kenya today.
I think I can jump in as others also gather ideas so that they can also contribute into this. Allow me first of all to say that really I appreciate this, David, and thank you, because since the day we met and we took a tour in my place and the mode of how we try to create water for ourselves and also for the animals is really a great adventure. But I think if you look at the Kenyan history, for instance, if you look at the first president of the Republic of Kenya and the son as well, all the names that they had are all from the Maasai community. So basically, it is the Maasai community who named them. If you look at the word Kenyatta, Kenyatta basically comes from the word belt. A belt, Kenyatta in Kimasai is basically a belt that just some sort of traditional belt that is made out of leather. And he was named by the Oloibon who collaborated with the British back then in the colonial period. And if you look at still history, all the places that we have in Kenya, including Nairobi being the CBD, Nairobi means the place of cool waters, and it is now the CBD of the country. But it is so unfortunate that you'll not even see any inhabitant of the Maasai community there. It could be because of the setup of their mode of livelihoods, because these are the communities that really migrate a lot in terms of looking for pasture for their animals. And one of the biggest challenges, I think, for the last 2 years, back in 2019, we recorded the largest number of animals lost in the drought. And it did not just affect the Maasai community, but the country ran short of meat. If you look at Kenya Meat Commission, KMC, it has given a report that they never see such a drop for the last decade. So you can be able to see that it is not only the Maasai who really face this crisis ahead, but even the country, and in terms of economy and also all sort of manner of livelihood for the country also goes down. And I can say that one of the biggest challenge we have is, one is the pasture, and then the other one is water. And if you look at what we're doing for some of the activity we're doing in some community-linked organization, is that one of the biggest challenges that I think the Maasai people have is that they've not been getting that opportunity to be taught on how they can be able to manage the number of animals they have. This is a very big challenge, because like currently they are rainy season, but you'll find there's a family which has got over 1,000 cows, and they are all fat. But then they don't sell these animals because they are their pride. These people really love animals, They can even sleep with the animals in the shed, in the cow shed. They really love them. And because there's no sort of economy model that says, we need to reduce this number of animals when they still have value. You can sell them and reduce to a manageable herd that you need. But then they don't have that kind of education. So what happens is, when the drought strikes, all these animals, about 70% of them die, and they are left with very small number of animals. So what I think is, this is a whole conversation, not just in terms of looking for water, basically, but also in how do we deploy education to tell them that there are so many other ways that you can be able to, things that we do in terms of keeping livestock, keeping goats. For example, we have got drought tolerance animals, like the camel. We can integrate this, which basically can take long distance and long time without basically looking for water. So these are some of the ways we can basically integrate with the breeds we have. If you look at the black-headed sheep, for example, which is a crossbreed of exotic and indigenous animals. They can be able to give you milk, and at the same time they can give you meat. So you see, you can benefit from milk by selling either milk, also drinking the milk, but at the same time it can also give you meat. So I want to say that one of the biggest challenge we have is basically water. Basically, sometimes not pasture being a big challenge, but water is really an issue, and this had forced our communities to move away from the CBD, and that is why you find that despite the fact that most of us come from were inhabited of different places in this country, Kenya, even in East Africa, we are no longer there because we are pushed by the situation. You cannot just keep the animals in Nairobi, and that is why our laws comes and says, this no law that says a Maasai person should not graze animals along the road, along whatever it is, and I think the Maasai community, because of the heat, they are the only people who are allowed to walk with their ornaments, like the swords and all that in the public, in the National Defense Park in Kenya. Nobody can ask a Maasai where you get with a sword or with a club, whatever it is. They just know that it's a way of life, and that is one aspect. So, and then the other aspect that we can also approach this idea of water from Maasai, we can make it a broad. If you look at our culture, it is the only tribe that has got the outstanding culture that can attract tourists. It is we community in Kenya is a whole. It's a whole vibe. Like people people come and watch them dance. They have their dancing with, they have their lifestyle, they have their houses which are made up of mud from the animals, and it is a whole economy perspective on how we can be able to maybe make an additional creation of livelihoods into that line. So as we get deep into this, what I would love us to do, what Philip does at the level of the CBO, they've really been trying hard to see how they can be able to cap the issue of water situation. For instance, harvesting of rainwater has been a big thing to be able to ensure that the water that runs from rooftops and all that is actually tapped. And then the other idea is, we've been also teaching the communities on small scale farming, whereby you can grow small vegetables around your place because there's issue of water. So the water you use in every aspect, you recycle that water to ensure that it is used in different perspectives. And if you go by that, maybe by the time the sheep or the cows have not given birth and there is no milk, the communities can use the vegetables. So that kind of integration can really create a whole perspective of how livelihood can be created. Lastly, according to UNFCCC, if you look at some of the indigenous communities that are set out in the reports that are given, they say that about 60% of the indigenous land is at risk, and we have seen this not once, not twice. And the reason why they are at risk is because as one of them is what David have mentioned, that when there is no better way of livelihood, people will sell land. That's one way. And when people you compromise land to pave way for buildings, which are going to create chaos and everything, interference of like paths that we used to do when we were grazing, and therefore the biggest indigenous knowledge is what is used in the whole world to protect biodiversity. If you look at like the other day, we had reports in Kenya of the longest forest people who are called the Dorobo. They are being pushed away out of that place. And if you look at Mount Kenya, this is the place where we have all the sources of streams of water. Mount Kenya has water that trickle down all the way that everybody is using in Nairobi. And these people, their lifestyle have been used to be, living in that particular place. So one through this, I think we can pinch this in different phases. I can stop there, but I know we all have really great ideas on how this can be brought by. Thank you so much.
Thank you. How about let's hear from other people. Abraham, you spoke before, so when we met before. So how do you think of your picture of how you think what are the things that the indigenous life can bring to the whole Kenya, and how can we actually help and make use of that, and what sort of things would that be?
Thank you, my brother Kaka, because of such great minds. And my brother David, the first time you visited Kenya, I asked you why you came to Kenya. He said, I came to Kenya because of the Maasai community. And Maasai community is a global heritage. So like say that the Maasai community are now facing challenges all over. Such great minds and ideas of how we thought of how we can change and bring change, how we can change and chances and possibilities to transform and bring back those
Sorry, we apologize. Disconnect, but we are sorting it shortly, and then we'll be back. Just bear with us. We're getting from there.
Indeed. We're going to see who we're bringing on here.
For Masai, we can make it abroad. If you look at our culture, it is the only that has got the culture
which is very characteristic color
Yeah.
of the mustard.
Yeah.
What are the things that
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, David. Yeah, it's true. I'm there right now, and actually, I really appreciate because of the background you gave. I think I was listening to you when you started. I was like, hey, David did a lot of research, and not only to follow and realize that you came and you went to the ground, and you say, you know, there is a saying here in Kenya that mambo ni different kwa ground. I don't know if you get that, but I'll teach you when you come back to Kenya. Yeah, that go to the ground, that is where you get the real scenario of how things are. You will not be told stories.
Well, we sincerely apologize for that. Internet connection. You know, it's just part of internet, and for that reason, I have David M, who was one of the people who was engaging in that call. And maybe David, can you shed light on that? And apologies for the internet hitch. Would
Yeah,
you
it's
how
okay.
yes, would you probably tell people how the conversation was, and maybe share more insights as well?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, team. I think we had a whole segment that our viewers missed. However, it was a very interesting engagement with the panelists who were there. The topic was water for Masai, and the director of the David Cole was trying to see logistic on how a solution can be brought about, and trying to highlight some of the problems that these people go through probably when you talk about water for Masai. How deep does it go? How does it affect the community itself, the Masai, and how does it largely affect you know, the broader communities around the country? And it was a very interactive sessions where different panelists gave views on it. I think Kaka gave a very good background about the community itself. So you mentioned something like once I think the pride, the pride of Kenya, even Africa. When you see some of them, when a picture comes to you, quickly it takes you here in Kenya. But having said that and done, it was also highlighted that there are a few problems, there are a few challenges that these people go through. And some was the issue to do with agriculture. It was mentioned that sometimes drought can come, drought season will come. They realize that they die because of the drought season, and to realize that after the drought is passed and some homes are left with nothing, you realize that some girls are being married off so that so that the dowry will come, and the dowry will come in form of the same cattle. So we realize that the old man will receive some cattle from whoever will marry. We realize that this is an effect because we realize that some girls are being married still young. So it's a problem that's circulates the culture and it was an issue that was addressed very well. The long distance of fetching water for women, mostly the issue of women was also touched in an extent manner. I mean, it was addressed that you realize that these are the people who take care of homes and they can walk for long distances. You realize that it was highlighted that especially in what like Kajiado is an arid and semi-arid area in the sea, rainfall, and therefore we realize that it is a big problem. And most of the river that there's a season, so you realize they don't have people that is the side of London, there we have the forest. At least there we have some rivers which keep flowing, and some of them are being educated and awareness has been raised, and some of them are doing even irrigation, which as we speak, some of the food that is being supplied, especially in the city, Nairobi, comes from that place. But when you come to Kajiado, it's a different case because most of the rivers are seasonal. So rain comes and water flows, and in a few couple of months, we realize that the drought is back. So that was also highlighted, and I mean, we're trying to talk about how can we have some solid and concrete solution on this, because highlighting a problem is one thing, but highlighting it and trying to find a solution that is the best thing. So that team, generally, that is what was spoken by the team. That is what was addressed. And some of the challenges that we go through, and people came up with different ideas like harvesting rainwater. We also talked about drilling boreholes and doing irrigation, and awareness to the community in terms of smart agriculture, and try to modernize, bring some technology in terms of agriculture. Realize that new technologies are being brought into to these people in terms of farming, keeping those livestock, then they shall be a step ahead. So those are some of the problem-solving mechanisms that were laid yesterday in that conversation and in that panel, and which was very promising actually. And we concluded that if we are able to go deep into the community and take information, which has been spoken in several forums that have passed, then we'll be able to have a community that will sustain itself, and food security will be something that will have been attained. So basically, that's just a background of what was discussed by the panelists. To your team, maybe if there is any other question.
Well, not really. not really, David. And thank you so much for the insights. And it's such a great, insight there. And it's such a hearty issue, and with real issues, that uh, the picture that it's not that good. However, that is the reality we have to deal with. And still talking about it brings about things to do with. It makes us think about issues in which we can be able to look at it and have conversations on how best we can be able to modernize our elders, as a way of trying to make them rethink their way of thinking, rethink their ways of addressing real time issues. Because at this time, in the 21st century, such practices are past by time. We just had conversations about how women are being empowered elsewhere, and for that reason, Maasai people ought not to be left behind. Yes, I understand there is need to preserve culture, it brings out our diversity, but also I think at such a time it's time we think of those cultures that are good for our people and keep them and preserve them, and also them that those cultures that are not okay, those cultures that quote unquote are primitive. It's in the 21st century. It's wisdom to to just share them. My thoughts. I don't know what you think about that. And I see Collins is here with us again. And maybe Collins, what do you think about that? Haiti, strong sentiments there were given, about girls having to drop out of school, get married off, as in exchange of dowry, in form of cattle, and other hearty issues. What do you think about that? Is it time we have a different conversation, or should we progress like that?
Thank you, Tim. Hope you can hear me clearly. Okay, yeah, thank you. Yes, interesting conversation, and as David has mentioned, and the stories from the grassroots. I think it's just important for us to amplify these voices from the communities as a way that people can truly understand the situation and the challenges that actually people face, and out of that it gives us the opportunities to be able to harness all the technologies and the indigenous knowledge, just to ensure that the solutions that we offer are actually sustainable, to ensure that the communities have water. And Tim, you remember the story from the Kenya Girl Guide, and how water is a challenge crisis that affects the women and the girls, and the whole aspect about the gender and water for that exposes them to gender-based violence and other human rights violations. So I believe it's timely that we have these discussions moving forward, and bring the It's For You campaign to the villages and the communities to be able to look in solutions that bring about solutions for the future. So thank you so much, and I hope we bring this discussion moving forward with the different groups to ensure actually the challenge of water is addressed. So thank you so much. Over to you, Tim.
Well, you're much welcome, Collins, and it's nice engaging with you and getting your sentiments from that. And maybe as we maybe probably wrap up this conversation, maybe ask Collins, how have things changed? Uh, from when you grew up and until now, are there practices that you grew up seeing, you grew up experiencing, and at the moment they are no longer there? Are there such practices? Are we making progress?
Oh, thank you for the question. I think David will be even more placed to give his perspective, but I would say yes, there is progress, and with the education, awareness, uh, information being shared across, I would say that we have, indigenous organizations that are actually working across to bring to the forefront just the effects of these cultural practices. But I would say more is still needed because culture is something you won't just like face out in a day. But I believe that discussions with young people, information sharing, and the very basic of bringing to the forefront the spillover effect of such can enable communities to actually start to amplify the voices for why we need to, empower women and girls to stand firm and protect their rights. Maybe to hear from David what he thinks about this. Yes, David.
Collins, you're right. And, you're right to say that we're from somewhere. I think we are heading somewhere. And I will support this by saying that even the conversations that we are having right now means that we're heading somewhere. There's a progress. So I'll say that over the years, you see, culture is rich, and culture, we don't have to run away from our culture. We just have to probably correct a few things that we think that they are not so friendly. For example, the issues to do with FGM. Everyone knows that probably people sat down, a roundtable discussion. They come out with a report that probably it may not be helping anything. So the information have been taken to the indigenous people, and it's now sinking to them. And the same case with the issues that we are talking about right now. For example, probably because Collins is saying ask David because he will give a good probably a good response. Why? Because I know Collins you have worked with indigenous people in Kajiado, so I know that's why you're throwing that question to me. But my point of view, because I think I'm one of those indigenous. I grew up in those homesteads where you have a large flock of cattle. I think more, just as Colin said, more has to be done. And an era that we are right now is not. We need to take awareness of the people because it's funny that you have 100 head of cattle. You wait. Kaka was putting it very well yesterday. We keep it as if it's our pride. I mean, we just like to see the bulls marching home in the evening, and the old man will beat himself on the chest and say, I'm one of the greatest in the village. But when drought comes, a different scenario happens. So we need to modernize this. We need to teach them ways on how we're going to, how they can keep these animals economically at their source of revenue. We need to educate them about even the product from these animals. We have bones. Bones are being used to make some other products. We have the skin. Skin is being used. I've seen the county government of Kajiado through the governor, His Excellency Milen, trying to bring that on board. I also heard the president speaking about it, that is Mr. Ruto, trying to get those products from those animals and step that has been taken. I can see and I know because I'm one of them, and I can tell you from where I see it because, like, in the beginning of the whole of this year with an NGO that is ICCB. I'm a member there. We have been in the community. I mean, we talk to women, and right now they are doing farming. And I was seeing I was producing my social media, online pages today, and I saw them posting pictures of their farms, how good they are doing. Some of them have turned into irrigation. Some of them are growing crops right now. So the issue of keeping livestock and just doing livestock growing, something new is coming to them, and that tells us that they are step up and taking. So, team, I believe that there is a step that we are taking, and we are heading somewhere. But a lot still has to be done in terms of awareness, educating, in terms of financing. We realize that some of this project need to be financed, but there is somewhere we are going to in there as well. Yep.
Okay, great insights by David and Collins, and it's nice to see and it's nice to understand that and appreciate the fact that there's change, and yeah, it could be slow, but however, there is progress, and that gives us hope that one day we'll get there, at a place where we'll be able to preserve this culture, that promotes equality, that promotes humanity. Because our culture is our heritage anyway. We can't get rid of it. And in where I come from, my people says that that he who abandons his culture is a slave. So we can't do away with our culture. But again, I think the thing is just, maybe try to see what is good, and maybe a drop off of that which, does not promote humanity. So I can see right now we are almost, winding up, and maybe I bring in Collins. We've had incredible conversations today, and maybe David as well, and I myself. Maybe can you share some of our takeaways from today's conversation? We started with a meditation session, and then we followed it up with Mr. Michael and and other guests that came in. So maybe briefly, can we just each share what your main takeaways have been in today's conversation, and how has it changed your way of thinking? Because anyway, we're talking about thinking our choices. So how has today's conversation, impacted your choices as far as viewing things is concerned? So we start with Mr. Collins.
Thank you, Tim. Yes, reflecting back to the discussion we have had from the meditation and picking up from Michael's story, I just get to understand that we have to start from where we are and what we have to make a difference, and pick from Monica's story and the work that she's working with the indigenous communities, and it's about looking at the positives and being in a position to actually rise above the challenges and the obstacles to empower the communities. And lastly, from the story about the water for Masai and what my friends have been sharing, all I hear is that young people, have the space and the opportunity to make the world a better place. And yes, I just want to say it's for you. It's a platform for you to be able to look at yourself and say, what is it that I have in my hand? And probably that could be the starting point of bringing, a sustainable change and impact to our communities. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, David. Thank you so much, Collins. David?
Yeah, thank you, Tim, and thank you, Collins, for those remarks. I was actually touched how you connected it from the meditation to of messages. Mine is to say that let's do what we can when we can, because right now some of us have a platform to raise our voices, even to the voiceless. Realize that God can give you an opportunity to be in a platform. And you need to stand for the community. You need to be selfless and stand in the community. When I look at some of the heroes that we call in Africa, talk of Nelson Mandela. There's one guy who came out, there's one guy who spoke. He's still in history because of the stand that he had addressing the issues of Africa. If we recall the likes of John Kenyatta, these are people who did a remarkable job giving a foundation to country Kenya. The likes of Mwai Maathai. These are people who did what they
David, sorry, you're muted. Kindly unmute yourself.
Sorry for that. As I was saying, this is our time, this is our generation. We need to do what we can. And try to raise those voices whenever we get a platform and ensure that we educate the society and appreciate, because when I see people in the developed country coming down to the grassroots, like David spoke yesterday, that even before we started the conversation and before he gave us a time to address, he was sharing pictures. And he said, David, that is David Cole from the United States. He said that I came to Kenya personally and I went to the grassroots, and that's encourages us, because we have those people come and see how things are happening, and thereafter they give us a platform to raise voices. And so let's do what we can. Because this is the time to make a difference and to make our world the better. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, David. And I resonate with both of you. With Collins as well, when I say that I've had reflection. My reflection was during the prayer and meditation session. Understanding that that we ought to create an equilibrium between our thought process, our body, and how we relate with the planet. I think that for me was something that was really key, and which when we take care of our thought process, we'll be able to relate well with the environment. When we take care of ourselves first, we'll be able to take care of the environment. So the thing for me is just creating that equilibrium. Once we're able to create that equilibrium, then we'll be at a better place. And touching on Mr. Wayaki's conversation, is understanding that appreciating the fact that we are here for a reason, and that reason we ought to undertake it regardless of where we are in this at the moment, and we should stand to be counted as a generation that stood up for what is right, stood up for taking care of the environment, and that for me, spoke to my heart, and and it made me, rethink my choices, rethink of the many times I've been afraid to do things, probably because I feel like I'm inadequate. Probably I feel like maybe somebody else ought to do it. But with Michael's conversation, it really triggered my thoughts that I should always purpose to stand up to the occasion. And lastly, it's appreciating the role of women in our society. I think when we give women an opportunity, we not only allow them to bring out their potential out, but also be able to tap into the great diversity that comes with our gender also as well. So that have been my reflection for today, and it's been really an incredible thing. And for now, as we are winding up, maybe we get to listen to some music by one of our own, Larry Dwayne. And then, as we call it a close, and I'll see you to the next session tomorrow. Same time, same place, and God bless you. So I'll leave you with some music by Larry Dwayne, and I hope that you enjoy. Yeah.
Nature is alive and nature has feelings. Don't you hurt its feelings? The reason why nature ain't healing. Good does not come from having good intentions or even by acting on them. But good comes from accepting that the
dreaming of a day when we shall heal the world. Transform yourself, it's for you, it's the solution. A limit to oil, gas and coal makes me happy. This world is all we got, so we must save the planet, save it now. Yeah.
Good originates from accepting that there are limits. Good comes from limits. Rethink those choices, chunga vile una purchase. Think of your consumption. What's the point? I mean, transformational ownership is for you. It's for you, yeah. Are you ready now? Are you
dreaming of a day when we shall heal the world? Transform yourself, it's for you, it's the solution. A limit to oil, gas and coal makes me happy. This world is all we got, so we must save the planet, save it now.
What gives you joy? Dancing in the rain. What gives you joy? Owning my challenges.
What gives you joy?
Being alive. What gives you joy? Having fun. Hey. Transformational ownership, yeah. Hey yo, listen, everyone, you are welcome to the party.
Dreaming of a day when we shall heal the world. Transform yourself, it's for you, it's the solution. A limit to oil, gas and coal makes me happy. This world is all we got, so we must save the planet, save it now, yeah.
Your consciousness towards the environment. Yeah, nature is alive and nature has feelings. Don't you hurt its feelings. You are human and just stop being the reason why nature ain't healing. Good does not come from having good intentions or even by acting on them. But good comes from accepting that the
dreaming of a day when we shall heal the world. Transform yourself, it's for you, it's the solution. A limit